Hi friends, thanks for joining us today. It's Tuesday, May 26th. We're just coming off of Memorial Day and hope you're doing well and always staying well. As life starts to change again for us, as we start talking about reopening much of our society, we wanted to give you an opportunity to hear us talk a little bit about some of what we are thinking about and what we're doing as we're moving ahead as well. So, Jennifer Wirt, Director of Children's Ministry, Matt Kauffman, Director of Music Ministries, Rod Iberg, Director of Operations. Some of you still don't know Rod, but I've asked each of us to kind of speak from our own ministry areas about what we're doing, what we're thinking, and how we're moving forward. The staff meets regularly to talk about the issues that are facing us. The session also meets regularly to discuss these same issues. I'll tell you the big question, obviously, is when are we going to reopen? What does that look like? And particularly with regards to in-person worship, I can tell you we're going to move slowly. We're going to be safe and secure on this. We're going to be moving gradually and cautiously is the language that we're using at the session level. So we'll keep you informed about that, but we are going to definitely be following the recommendations that we're getting from healthcare professionals and government professionals, and then making our own specific decisions with regards to that. So let me tell you a little bit about what we are doing thus far. The staff has now returned to regular hours here at TAB. We're in our second week now. We are social distancing while we are here. As you'll see, we're all using masks when we're in any of our public areas, even passageways or hallways. And largely our private offices are off limits even to one another. So staff is here, we're available to you as needed. That being said, the building is actually locked during the week. We're trying to limit access to outsiders. And so guests and visitors, if you are planning to come, it is by appointment only. If you would call ahead, let the person know that you are coming so that we can be prepared to welcome you to the building. We, again, are going to ask you that if you're in the building, wear masks while you are here, do all the social distancing that we're getting comfortable and familiar with. And largely, we're meeting with folks in the more public areas and not in our private offices for the same reasons. Committee meetings, we are leaving up to the discretion of the individual elders or committee chairs as to meeting schedules. Some are starting to think about in terms of meeting in-house in the building. Many are continuing to do Zoom meetings throughout this next month. But we are starting to open up the building in that regard. Rod and others will be talking about there will be designated rooms depending on the size of your gatherings, and so we're going to ask you to be responsible with regards to that. While here, we're going to ask you to be mindful of all the restrictions that we're putting in place. Social distancing, that 6 feet apart from one another, wearing masks. There will be limited access to restrooms, to drinking fountains. We are defining the means of ingress, entering into the building, and egress, returning it out again. We're asking you not to linger in the hallways, not to do some things that will just allow us to stay safe with one another. We are restricting in the strongest ways that we can. Folks that are over 65. Anybody who has any symptomatic behavior whatsoever, or those with underlying health concerns. And candidly, we're saying that if you are not comfortable or willing to abide by these restrictions, we're asking you simply to stay away for now. And we'll continue to live into these practices as we continue to follow new guidelines. Candidly, we are living at about a 2-week window right now. We're making decisions about 2 weeks out. And so we'll want to keep you updated on what we're thinking about and how we're thinking. So our biggest concern is for the well-being of others. And so I know you'll help us with that. So, Rod, why don't you talk with us a bit about what you're thinking about with regards to building use?
Sure. Thanks, John. And good morning, everyone. Let me just touch base on a few things that we're doing as we navigate into this ever-changing new normal that we're all experiencing. Obviously, cleaning is a top priority with everything going on with the virus. And so we've been blessed, sort of, in being able to have my entire team here at the same time. So we have been cleaning. From top to bottom, the entire church. We've been able to partner with an outside vendor to get some specific COVID-19 cleaning materials that are recommended by the CDC for this particular virus. So we are using that diligently on everything that you can see and can touch. That's the first step we're doing. We have ordered 1,000 pairs of gloves, 1,000 masks that we'll have available not only for here and staff, but certainly for when we reopen for worship. We'll have those available for people coming, for guests, for outside groups. Should they not have a mask, we'll be having that available for them as well. We would like to get to a touchless society here within the church, in particular as it relates to bathrooms. So we are converting paper towel dispensers, soap dispensers to a touchless system. So trying to protect you and affords you the ability to touch as little as you can for your own safety. That also helps us with cleaning after the fact. And then one of the things we've also heard a lot of great press about, and so we've engaged another company to do what's called an electrostatic cleaning of the entire building. They're on hold. They will do that about 2 days before our first worship service. So once we have that date in mind and we know when that's going to be for sure, we will have them come in a couple days before, and they will go from top to bottom, probably all night long, electrostatically cleaning, which is supposed to be the best defense right now for the COVID-19 virus. So we are trying to take all the precautions we can. As John mentioned, one of the particular items is with committee meetings. So we are looking, Matt and I will be walking through the building, looking at all of our available rooms, which you know is limited already, but it's even more limited now with social distancing. So we will be going in, we're measuring, we're making sure we can determine how many people we can safely accommodate in each room, keeping them 6 feet apart. Making sure they can ingress and egress safely. And so we will be running our calendar and booking meetings based on where we can house you. So if you've normally been in a certain committee room or a certain meeting room, you might notice some changes with that just because we might need to move you to an area where you can be a little safer. As far as tables and chairs, you can expect the same thing as you're probably finding if you've been out and about in restaurants or stores or whatever. We'll be 6 feet apart. We'll be making that clearly marked. We'll be making the ingress, egress clearly marked. And completely around the building, we'll have signage, we'll have hygiene items up, we'll have social distancing reminders. So anything that you've seen in the public, we're trying to mirror to make sure we're being just as safe as possible. When we get close to worship, I'll just touch base on this briefly. John may elaborate a little more. We've already put tons of thought into how do we do worship? How many can we actually have in the sanctuary from a safety standpoint? And so what we will be doing is we will be marking off actually on the pews where people can sit, where families can sit, where individuals can sit. We'll be removing cushions, hymnals, a lot of the things that we've been advised even by our own Presbytery group that are safety precautions that we should look at. We'll be having some pretty good ingress and egress restrictions, and you'll hear more about those as we get close, but just know we've already been trying to think of what those protocols could be. We've already been measuring out and just finding places that we can store items that we need to remove from the worship center. So just a whole lot of things going on. I've just kind of touched on these briefly, but just know we're doing whatever we can do. On a changing basis daily. John said a couple of weeks, but it's almost daily. We're getting new information and new protocols we should look at, and we're certainly taking all of that under advisement. So thank you and be safe, and I'll look for Matt now to maybe go a little more into detail about worship and some of the protocols that he's looking at from his end.
Thanks, Rod and John. So you've heard a little bit about building usage, And one of the things that we're trying to do is move slowly. So the building is only open for staff during the week, and then we are opening up to only TAB-related committee meetings. I believe the men's Bible study is going to start meeting. But any outside groups, we're still holding off on. Those are groups that we don't feel like we have as much control over, and at this point, we feel like we need to have a little bit of control over who's using the building and the usage of the specific rooms that Rod and I are going to be talking about. We have come up with some guidelines for use of the rooms, for use of the building, for our committees, and in the next week or so, you should probably be getting a copy of those protocols from your committee chair people or your elder that will list some of the guidelines. And some of them are things that John's already mentioned, like coming in the building, leaving the building, not loitering in hallways, which restrooms are available, room setups, those kinds of things that you need to know in order to keep us as a church safe. The other thing I want to do is just mention briefly worship. And first of all, thank you so much for all the encouraging words that we've gotten from everybody regarding the live streaming Sunday morning services. It's difficult for us to do a worship service without a congregation, but those words of encouragement have continued to help us get excited about what we're doing on Sunday morning and provide you with the best possible experience that we can via your computer or your iPad or your telephone. So thank you for being there for us, and we hope to continue to serve that need until we can all meet again. When we do meet again, a few things that you will need to be aware of is that the worship services will look completely different than they have in the past. Several of the things that have come out in research over the past month, 6 weeks, is just articles on singing and what happens when you sing. When we sit 6 feet apart from each other, wear a mask, or when we talk to one another, there's all kinds of droplets and aerosols that come out of your mouth that is a major cause of spreading the COVID-19 virus. When you sing, that force sends those particles even further than when we speak. So for the time being, until we deem it safe, there will be no choirs. As you all are very well aware, in our sanctuary there is very limited space in the choir loft. There's actually limited space on the platform. And to get people what they are recommending 12 feet apart for singing is going to be a major issue. Another issue that we are still talking about and trying to decide how we're going to deal with this is congregational singing. Every report that's coming out is discouraging any kind of congregational singing during worship for exactly the same reason. Just the forcefulness of singing causes those aerosols and droplets to travel twice as far as they do from a speaking standpoint. So there's going to be some changes. However, we are going to worship together as a congregation, hopefully in the near future. We are going to be together as a family of God, as a community of believers, and we want, again, to make it as safe as we can for you. So you will notice some changes. But that doesn't mean that God's Spirit has lessened or left this place. We are here to worship the one true God, and we will continue to do that. So bear with us as we move along this journey together, as we decide what's safe, what's not safe, and we want to make it the best possible experience, whether it's a worship service or Sunday school or meeting, that we protect our congregation, because bottom line is we love you all, and we want nothing to happen to any of us. So bear with us and walk along this journey with us, and thanks for your understanding and for your love.
Good. Jennifer, tell us a little bit what's going on in children's ministries.
Well, like everybody else at TAB's children have not been together with each other or with the teachers since March 8th. And it would be easy to think that since we're apart, it's out of sight, out of mind, and that is, nothing could be further from the truth. TAB's Children's Ministries Committee has been actively talking, researching, praying to try to figure out how we best can continue to minister to TAB's children and families while we're apart. So to that end, we've been having weekly Zoom get-togethers for our elementary students. that have been well attended. We have weekly Zoom circle times for our early childhood students. We've been sending notes and letters. We're in the process now of dropping off movie kits to all of our elementary children and their families on their doorsteps, no contact delivery. And we are actively planning for something really exciting, which is a virtual VBS. We can't do in-person VBS this year. The committee really wrestled with whether we could maybe do it in an adapted way and somehow still keep the children and the volunteers safe. And we just couldn't figure out a way to make that work, honestly. And it was really disappointing. But as many other churches are doing, we were able to find a way to do it virtually. So it will be a computer online VBS. Every day we'll provide online a Bible study and some music and some in-house things we put together for our kids specifically and for our community kids. And we will be delivering the week prior a kit to each home on their doorstep. Again, no contact delivery, with all the materials that will be needed for crafts and some of the fun accompanying things we're doing. So hopefully it will still be a really fun VBS experience. It just won't be together in person. That will be the week of June 22nd. It's open to all TAB families, and it's open to any other families who would like to participate. So if you have friends or neighbors that you have kids that are elementary age, we'd love to have them. The only thing is they'll need to register so that we know where to deliver the materials packet. So the online registration will be available on a link through TAB's website later this week. And you can sign your children up, you can sign up your grandkids, you can have your neighbors sign up, and we will deliver materials and send out all the video content we'll deliver materials the week of the 15th, and we'll provide the actual VBS on the week of June 22nd. And we're really looking forward to a fun week, even though it can't be in person. So we're continuing to reach out to families. We really want to keep those relationships that we have with TAB students, big and small. We want to keep those relationships going even in these challenging times. And we continue, the Children's Ministries Committee, the staff, myself, we continue to think about and pray for all of TAB's children and young families.
Jennifer, Rod, Matt, thanks to each of you. Just a couple other programmatic. Dan and Amy also are planning events for our youth. TAB Rec is going to start up on June 13th. Ben and his team have put together a very thoughtful way to get kids back on the field, starting with a conditioning but no contact program. The Open Door is going back to to-go service starting tomorrow. Our guests will come and receive meals to go, and starting then the following week, we will be moving towards carry-out with limited outdoor seating. So think in terms of kind of a picnic setting on those days that we're doing the Open Door. Fresh Start is going to pick up again on June 27th, so the end of the month. You can be watching for that. TAB Jams, the first TAB Jams will be on June 28th, Sunday the 28th. And it will be different, but it'll be on. And we're going to do it as a drive-in. We're going to do it as out in the parking lot. And so plans are being made for that. And other plans as well for kind of soft openings of getting the church family together in safe and open ways and areas. And so you can be looking for those opportunities, kind of a TAB tailgate kind of idea. So I hope this has been helpful for you today. Again, I would reiterate, as Matt said, our deep appreciation for the notes and the cards, the emails, the financial support that you have lent to each of us during this time. As Jennifer mentioned, we're praying for you, as I know you're praying for us, and we greatly appreciate that. If there are questions that you have for us, we encourage you to write those to any of us individually or to front desk at tabpress.org. We will continue to bring updates to you. And if you have specific questions for us, we'd love to be able to respond to those. Again, our desire is to move safely, cautiously, slowly in this for the well-being of all of us. So be the church where you are. Know that you are loved. We have a Heavenly Father who loves us dearly, wants us all to be safe. And so we will desire to do our part to that end. So God's blessings, and we look forward to being with you soon.